Hi friends, I'm Ashley and welcome to Darling Cottage Diary. Today we are making this cute little clutch that is a notepad and has a pocket in it. It's just something really cute. We're continuing the DIY gift series and I thought this would be a really sweet standalone gift to give to somebody. So let's get started. So this is this December 2023 printable ephemera that I make for my Ephemera Club, and I always do a journal prompt that you can cut out and put in a journal, but I always do two other little vintage ephemera that I find that I digitize, or a straight up printable creation that you cut out and put together to make something else, like the seed packets that I've featured before. So this month I wanted to do a bow because it's holiday season, lots of people giving gifts, and I figured you could use it to put, to adorn your journal, of course, or to make into this clutch, but also to just put on top of packages. I printed this on cardstock and it was sturdy, but I'm going to try it in regular paper too. Obviously you could also print it out in cardstock just to use as a template if you wanted to use your own paper design, and you could just trace it on some paper and that way it has a different pattern on it. This pattern is I watercolored a bunch of pretty little Victorian pink fans on I tried to just kind of do a neutral suede type of color. Figured it would match a lot of people's stuff. So anyway, the way you fold it is like this. To hold things in place temporarily, I would use a glue or tape roller, like double-sided tape roller like this, but to keep it permanent, especially using cardstock, I found that acetone glue works the best because it dries quickly and doesn't warp. It doesn't get soft like it would with school glue or other water-based glues. So acetone-based glue, and the one I use is in the Amazon list in the description box below, but it's this little multi-layered paper that turns into this cute little 3D bow. And obviously you could use a regular ribbon and thread it through the top and bottom flaps to create a closure, or you could do the button closure that I'm going to feature later with the bow just glued on the top. But I liked the paper bow, and I like that it's, I don't know, it doesn't move or whatever. There's a perfectness to the paper bow that you can't really achieve with a silk ribbon. So anyway, I was excited to try this out. And while we're still making this bow, because it does take a hot minute, it took my fingers a while to get the cardstock to behave. But I did want to share a quote that I read. It's in the cozy issue of Bella Grace magazine. I don't know if y'all read that, but I feel like it's the people who like my aesthetic probably like theirs. And it was from a piece written by Katie Christie, and you can find her by that name on IG. But she says, "The first hour of writing is like getting one's eye dug out with a dull blade, getting past what is expected, the weight of other people's thoughts, and getting to my sweet spot takes a long time. When I do, writing is pure bliss." And I felt that so hard because I don't know about you, but this time of year, I want to create and I want to craft and I want to be creative, and I feel that energy, but at the same time, I feel like the time of the days and the time of the weeks go by really quickly because we have other things going on that we usually don't the rest of the year, and that can be slowing down long enough to sit and create something I like. The getting going is the hard part of it. Once I am sitting down and fully immersed, it is pure bliss. Crafting and creating is wonderful, and I always feel better afterward, but I will put it off and put it off and put it off all week long, and a lot of times force myself to get started over the weekend. And that's partially why I'm doing YouTube. That's partially why I started a YouTube channel, was to keep myself accountable, to give myself that time. And I'm wondering if y'all had the same problem this time of year because gosh, it really is almost painful to, yes, get out of my head, get over if this is going to work out, if this is going to be something I like, if, you know, worrying about other people's opinions, if they like something, or if they think it's too simple, or whatever it is. It's really, once I get out of that, it's easier to continue. So let me know in the comments if you are the same. maybe we all feel like that, and that is a universal feeling, but the way she put it just was so succinct and perfect. This paper is a regular 6x8 double-sided, and I bought it last year at the end of the season, so I didn't use it very much, and I wanted to come up with some projects for this size, but I didn't like that serrated edge, so I just took this normal vintage teacup that my grandma gave me and created a scalloped edge with it. I did not measure, I eyeballed this whole thing because the bow is gonna help your scalloping be forgiving, so keep that in mind. If you don't want to scallop it, obviously you could simply use a corner rounder or any other shape that you like, but I saw a pretty scalloped, I think it was felt, little purse that was being given away as bridesmaids gifts on probably Pinterest, and it was just really cute. I loved the scalloped part of the flap, and I was going to do just a pocket, but then I was like, you know what, I use French. I'm bilingual, and I use French in my day job. I switch back and forth between French and English all day long, and part of my job is to maintain my fluency, which isn't always easy because there aren't a whole lot of people in my region who speak French, but reading and writing and listening to it is a way that I am able to maintain as best I can, and part of that is when I come across a word I don't know, I write it down because it helps me remember, but I write it down in the moment. So if I hear it on when I'm, you know, doing something else in the kitchen or at work or something, I write it on a post-it note, I write it on a receipt, I write it in all of these weird places, and then I forget to go back and put it in my, you know, put it in a designated place and journal, and I want a collection of new French words. And so that was also a little bit of the motivation between the wanting to create like a cute on the outside clutch type of deal, but also adding the notepad as opposed to just making this a really fancy pocket. So this notepad paper is just an old vintage notebook. I found it in an estate sale. I really like how the paper is aged, but it is quite fragile, so I don't want to put it in anything where it bends, like bending it in half into a junk journal, because it breaks real easily. So I usually use this in the notepads. And then because this is kind of small and I wanted the design of the paper to show through, I decided to add the vellum piece as a pocket. The sewn edges, obviously you can use glue. I love the look of sewn edges. I just think it's really, really pretty, and it added to the kind of, hey look, this is a purse, this is usually a fabric thing, not a paper thing. I don't know, it added to the aesthetic that I liked of it looking like a purse. And so anyway, my thoughts were have this notepad, and that way with a pocket, and I can stick the sticky notes or the whatever notes in the pocket, and then when I have time to sit down, I can go back and transcribe them into the nice notepad. So I have all of these new words in one area, and I can reference them whenever I need to. These obviously are just the regular Sewing Dritz brand buttons, like snap closures. I used a needle to poke through to make sure that they would line up, like the glue would line up correctly. As I said, if you're using a fabric ribbon, you could just make 2 slits and on both the top and bottom flaps and thread them through so that you can tie it closed and it works as an actual closure. You can skip this step altogether. But I used E6000 because it's fine today, but it was kind of a pain to get them to stay while I was working on the rest of it. So maybe do that last. This little piece was some handmade paper I made over the summer, and it was actually an Ephemera Club that I sent out for November because we did a woodland creatures theme, And I found that death cap mushroom stamp last minute, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to include this. It's so pretty. And the feeling of handmade paper is just so nice. So I thought it would add some nice texture to decorate the front and also continue with the woodland theme, because it looked just a little bit plain to me. So I wanted to add a couple of extra little things. And then these are just some cute little ephemera that I found at a big box store. I need to be better about remembering where I find these things so I can tell y'all. I'm doing a lot of impulse shopping right now because I'm shopping for other people, and then I happen to find cute little things that I know that I will use in my crafting, and I throw them in my cart and I forget where they are. But this, I have this winter white and a cream and this really, really pretty chenille kind of ribbon. So that is going to be part of December's ephemera packets because they're just buttery soft and the texture is so pretty. So I went over it with the sewing machine one more time just to give it a little extra texture and dimension, and so that it kind of looks like our deer is walking through the snow. I'm going to put the little deer die cut on top. And I don't know. I don't really get snow in my region, but I can fantasize about it. I know there are all kinds of miserable things about living in a place where there's snow all the time during the winter, but it's lovely to think about. So if you live in a place where there's a lot of snow, tell me your favorite thing and the thing that you hate the most about it, because I need perspective. All I can think about is how quiet and glistening and crunchy and beautiful everything is, but I know that there's probably like sloshy mud, especially in the spring, that is not fun to deal with. So anyway, the whole thing itself is pretty simple to put together. It's an easy, short project. This filming is, a good 15, 16 minutes. I think the whole thing actually took me about 30 minutes, start to finish, without me, getting up to get coffee and without me taking little breaks here and there. But here I just wanted a little something extra to go in the middle of the bow, because y'all know I like my tiny shinies. I really had a hard time deciding between the tiny frame, the silver frame, and this clear kind of aura crystal-y rose. But that one won out in the end because it matched this little glitter glue. And, I didn't use glitter glue for the longest time because it just reminded me of making homemade t-shirts when I was a kid, and those real thick lines, and it just looked juvenile to me. But then I saw Pink Strawberries here on YouTube, Strawberries with a Z, using it very sparingly on a couple of her die cuts, and it looks so nice, and it just adds just a little bit of richness and dimension, and I never thought about using it that way, and so I was really happy to see that tip because I've been doing it in my journal spreads and I really like it. So this is my my aforementioned Post-its full of French words that I'm trying to commit to memory, and I'm going to try to transcribe. And while I'm doing that, I wanted to take a moment to thank my Ephemera Club for supporting me this month. Donna, Kristen, Cindy, Abigail, Kathleen, Joanna, Rebecca, Sasha, Patsy, Teresa, Effie, Kim, Emily, Carly, Carrie, Leprechaun Mom, Crystal, Tracy, Britt, Alicia, Kenna, Rachel, Denise, W, Jennifer, Rasha, and Ariel. Very much appreciate the support. I'm very excited about putting your ephemera packets, for those of you who are in the Ephemera Club tier. Very excited about putting those together because I've already found so many shiny things, glimmery things to send, so very, very excited. If you don't know what Ephemera Club is, I mentioned it kind of at the beginning. It's just a monthly support that helps me create more videos, but also I create digital ephemera for you, like you saw with the bow, and journal prompts that you can print as many times as you want, or as well, if you're in the higher tier, you get a little monthly packet from me of just either handmade items, antique and vintage items that I find, and just everything that's on whatever theme we vote on every month. So I do really appreciate anybody who returns every week. I love seeing y'all's comments and likes and all the new subscribers that show up, because it I mean, any kind of interaction with my content, and it improves it and tells YouTube that this is suitable for people. So I really appreciate all of that support as well. And I'm really finding a little home here on YouTube. I've tried a lot of other social medias, and it's so hard to reach any of my followers, but it does seem that a lot of people who are here like return every month, and I really just appreciate you spending the time with me every weekend. It's really nice. Anyway, that is the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to see this kind of content, I create it and post something every Sunday. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.